How's everybody doing?
Good.
I hear you guys talk about red light cameras. It's funny when you start thinking about it and you start watching how many people you see that really do run the red light. There's a lot of it out there. And when I took this job, with my kids, I have an 11-year-old and a 9-year-old, we talk about what Dad does and this and that. And then you're driving in the car and they're always pointing out, Dad, you see that? You see that? You see that? If there's anything I can do about it. So, thanks for having us in today. I really appreciate it. My name is Yancey Tony. I'm Regional Sales Manager for Gatso, and this fine gentleman here beside me is Paul Bizzano, who's our Vice President of Sales. And if we could, if you guys don't mind, if we take just a couple quick seconds and go around the room so we'll know all for us who's here and just kind of your name and what you do, who you represent, I greatly appreciate it. So, I know Bob, why don't you start us off?
Scott Hillis, I'm the Law Director for the city.
Thank you, sir.
David Tarbert, one of the councilmen.
Okay.
DJ Detmore, councilman.
Okay.
Dana Matz, Chamber of Commerce.
Craig Stem, Deputy Fire Chief.
Chip Saunders, City Engineer. Dave Kirk, Engineering Department.
Tony Curry, Nasal Police Department.
Sue Cooper, resident.
Jeff Tilton, City Councilman. Ed Buck, Traffic Signal Department.
Thanks for coming, everybody. We really appreciate it. Thanks for giving us your time today. As I said, my name is Yancey Tony. I represent Gatso USA. And I guess the first thing I want to say is I want to give credit to Bob and say thanks to Bob for putting this together. And I think you're off to a great start in Zanesville because you have everybody involved. And the key to a great implementation in a program like this, we all know is controversial, is community input and transparency and doing things up front so everybody knows what's going on. And so I commend you. We don't get a lot of open processes like this, and so I thank you for the opportunity. I think it's a great first step in the direction that we're going. My task today is to talk to you about what we think is a best practices approach to photo enforcement. Like anything else, there's right ways and wrong ways and good ways and bad ways to do things. And there's a lot of negative publicity in our area about things that have been done in ways that maybe could have been done better. And we'll talk about implementation and some of those long-term strategies as we go through the presentation. But my task today is to convince you guys or show you guys that there is a right way to do it. There is a best practices way, and that technology makes a difference and accuracy is the most important thing. And those are the kinds of things we're going to focus on here today. As I said earlier, my name is Yancey Tony, Paul Bizzano, Vice President of Sales. We are located corporate office in Beverly, Massachusetts. We have an engineering office in Arizona, our offices in Illinois and Ohio. Paul, my guy here beside me, 22 years of law enforcement, 10 years in law enforcement technology sales. He's been through the FBI Academy and brings a wealth of experience and background to help the city of Zanesville with this implementation to make sure, once again, that we do it in an accurate manner and in a correct manner that benefits the city of Zanesville and to the best of our ability. Goals that we have today of this meeting is we hope to provide you, as I said, with a best practices approach to photo enforcement. We want to explain how important the technology is in this decision. It's not how many cities have your cameras or how many people do this or that. It's about the technology. It's about the quality of the technology and the accuracy of the technology. We want to explain difference in the technology that are currently available in the market, what we use, what other companies use. And we want to talk about any questions you might have, urban myths, rumors, what cameras do or don't do. That's what we're here for, and we'll do our best to answer those questions for you. And then finally, I hope that this presentation will show you that our experience, our technology, adaptability, and accuracy will win the day and give you, we think, give you a program that will be successful for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says there's a couple 100,000 crashes, 150,000 injuries, about 1,100 deaths a year from red light accidents. Federal Highway Administration estimates $14 billion in lost revenue from downtime, accidents, and injuries. Insurance for Highway Safety says that traffic photo enforcement systems reduce red light running by 40 to 50% and crashes by 25 to 30. We know photo enforcement changes drivers' behavior because we see the level of violations go from here and taper down and level off. We know that the cameras change driver behavior, and that's our goal. Traditional enforcement measures are difficult and can sometimes be ineffective at many intersections because of heavy traffic flows, because of geography. If you go up the corridor there, you get to the Lazy Boy and you make a right and you head down through there, where's the patrolman park a car? How do you pull somebody over in there that runs a red light or speeds down through there? That's a tough intersection and a tough area. We don't have enough room. And so there are other additional measures using technology that can make the city safer and enhance our police department. We're not meant to take the place of an officer, but the technology can enhance and make the city safer. Several, we hear so much negative publicity, but there's a lot of organizations out there that support photo enforcement. Federal Highway Administration, National Safety Council, National League of Cities, the Mayor's Conference. These are groups that have come out publicly in support of photo enforcement, but you never hear that in the news because that doesn't sell and it's not exciting and it's not controversial. Photo enforcement in the U.S. is a pretty new concept. 450 roughly communities, 25 states that have some kind of camera. Probably 6,000 cameras in the whole United States. And as much as you hear about it, you would think there was a gajillion. But that's about where we're at, very new. The interesting thing for us is that there are no government certification standards or approvals in the United States. If you do photo enforcement in Europe or Australia or the Middle East or the Far East, you got to go through the government. Your camera's got to be certain accuracy level. Your radar's got to be accurate. The camera's got to take a certain kind of picture. And you have to meet all those certifications and standards before you can do any business in that country. In the United States, you got a Nikon and a laptop. You can put out a website and you're a photo enforcement company tomorrow. Just the way it is. But we know that it won't be long before we'll see photo enforcement programs around the U.S. that are going to have to be taken out of the ground because they don't meet standards. And at some point in time, those standards are going to come to the United States. And Gatso's technology is approved in every country in the world that has standards for photo enforcement. The guy on the left sitting on the 1954, I think it is, Ford Zephyr, is Maurice Gatso. He's our founder, started the company in 1958. He was an engineer, had 35 patents, and we currently have about 45,000 cameras around the world in 60 different countries. And Gatso is a very traditional, conservative company. You'll hear me say many times today that we always try to err on the side of the driver. Today, Maurice's grandson Timo runs the company. So it's been a long time, family-owned, very traditional, conservative business. In 1960, Maurice invented the first photographic evidence for time over distance to our police officers. You guys like that uniform? You like that white belt? It's pretty sharp, isn't it? As we know, it's time over distance, and this was sold to the Dutch government in 1960. You've got weights, cables, measuring device, first photographic evidence for speed in 1960. Then we followed that up in 1966 with the first red light camera. Same concept today of taking a photo at the stop bar, photo in the middle of the intersection. We have time over distance, so it's an analog clock, it's black and white, but the concept is pretty similar, just the technology has advanced and improved. Gatso, we have about 1,200 cameras in 9 states right now around the United States. Dallas, D.C., Boulder, Colorado. The program in Cleveland is a Gatso program, and the engineer that put that program in Cleveland now works for us, Rich Casina. And then the other one I want to mention briefly up there at the top, the Illinois State Police. The state of Illinois has legislation. They tried to do this in Ohio and it failed. Construction zone photo enforcement. The Illinois State Police has vans that they travel around the state, put in different construction zones, and do photographic enforcement to protect workers. The first fine is how much?
$350.
$350, and the second one is
$500.
$500. So there's a dinner time conversation if you can't slow down in the construction zone. And the engineer there, Rich Casina, that works for us, won an award from the Insurance Institute. He designed a pager. The workers wear the green vests, and whenever there's a van in the construction zone, the workers wear a pager, and when a car goes through and hits the threshold, the workers all get a buzz to know to step back and be safe that somebody's flying through the construction zone. All over Europe, all over the Far East. A couple different things that we're going to talk about today. This is our typical red light and speed pole. We have a flash, camera, and a video. And one nice thing about us, we only put one pole at an intersection in Zanesville. We don't have to have a pole for the camera, a pole for the flash, and a metal box somewhere with a computer in it. We do everything in one pole at your intersection. The upper right-hand corner, you see that's the van from Illinois for work zone safety. Bottom left, a unit from Washington, D.C. that has a camera where the patrolman can park the car in a certain area, sit, and record violations. This upper left, that's a fixed speed enforcement in a neighborhood. Pole just sits there, cars come through the radar. If they speed, only if they speed and break the threshold set by the city, they'll get their picture taken. Railroad crossing photo enforcement, we do a lot of that in Los Angeles, and then there's a point-to-point that's big in Europe that hasn't quite made it to the United States yet. As I get into the meat of this presentation,